I do agree that there is stigma that I have to deal with because I am fat, but I'm actually really in celebration of my body. I find beauty in diversity. I think we come in all shapes and sizes. And the assumption that we've dealt with a lot on this show is that just because you're obese, you must overeat. You must have an eating disorder. I know that not to be the case. I know you can have a healthy relationship.
Hi brutal people, welcome back to Brutally Honest. As you can hear, my voice is better, so no more raspiness. Fat acceptance is wrong. Let's be brutally honest. It is no secret that fat shaming is doing nothing good to solve the obesity problem. But I find that fat acceptance is wrong too, and even worse. There is more than one reason why it is bad to be fat, and looks is not one of them. Because if you like your looks, well, good for you. If someone likes obese cheeks or men, good for them. I see nothing bad in this. But what is wrong about being fat is that our bodies are proven not to be designed to work well being obese. If being obese was okay and healthy, obesity would not bring increased chances of strokes, heart attacks, cancer, cardiovascular and pulmonary problems, infertility, and another array of issues. Plus, sumo wrestlers will be among the longest living people on earth, which they are not, and any fucking doctor will advise to get fat, eat as much as you can, and please don't exercise. But so happens that medical science is actually saying just the opposite. Still, they believe this.
I think you need to separate the idea of weight from healthy behavior.
Nobody's telling that fat people as human beings are less valuable or should be seen as monsters. But let's be brutally honest. Somebody pushing obesity as a form of beauty standard and saying that it is not unhealthy and that it does not affect your life, it's simply delusional and ludicrous. The actual problem is that in order to feel better, you embrace denial. And doing so, you are building a world on your own in which people are oppressing you, instead of recognizing that obesity is a problem and you have it. And this is further aggravated by the curvy models and they're promoting the beauty of being fat. You see, the objective truth is that it is simply promoting bad health. And about looks and beauty, I personally think that individual taste is not disputable. It is already this way. Still, obesity cannot be considered a beauty standard. And you cannot force it on anybody just because you feel uncomfortable. Even if people reject you or make fun of you, pushing this agenda is not gonna solve your issue. The phenomenon of the curvy models has become popular because an increasing number of people has grown fat year after year. And as every group, they want an identity and to have a place that is respected in society. Thanks to social media, now virtually anybody can find over the internet people with the same point of view, experiences, and problems. So it is easier to be reassured and feel less abnormal. Still, if a way of thinking is based on a bad, wrong, or unhealthy concept, forming such groups does nothing more than strengthen their beliefs and create a bubble in which they close themselves outside from society.
Well, I certainly think that we all want to feel good about ourselves. That's understandable. I don't think people should feel demeaned by their size. And I also couldn't agree more with the message of daily exercise. No matter what size you are, you'll certainly benefit from daily exercise. You can't be healthy without that. But then let's talk about where we disagree. Look, if you want to feel good about yourself, it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're doing something that's self-destructive. Also, self-destructive behaviors that result in damage or debilitation or even disfigurement to the body, that's never going to be perceived as beautiful.
But the truth is that the majority of humans are biologically wired to be attracted to people that are in shape because they look healthy. And beauty is nothing more than being considered attractive or not in order to reproduce and give birth to healthy children. It is true that in past centuries, a little extra fat was considered desirable, because one that could gain weight was for sure somebody who had money enough to buy extra food and live good, and had not to do hard-working tasks to make a living. It was a sign of wealth, and therefore a chance of better life quality if they married these people. There were not many farmers and fat, hard laborers back then, you know? Still, there are some delusional individuals that are spreading out the cancerous idea that it is society that brainwashes people into thinking that only people in shape are beautiful, and tricking people into thinking that obese men and women are ugly. They really think that. The hard truth is that the beauty standard throughout history has always been the same, with a confirmation of certain beauty standards that are living even today. As you can see, no beauty was an obese one. Even if people biologically don't prefer fat people or too much skinny people for the same reason, fat shaming is by all means wrong too. Most times, obese people have psychological issues that make them eat too much, and therefore are prone to depression. So being harsh to them is doing even more damage, because fat is nothing more than an armor to protect them from the world that they perceive as too hard for them. And as you may expect, this triggered an emotional response by these people in denial that made them formulate and create the concept of thin privilege. Because it has to be someone else that has a privilege and not your own responsibility for your health and bad life, right? It is simpler that way. It's easier. Basically, in their minds, they believe that a person that is in shape is privileged. Just because they can normally fit in seats, find clothes, walk faster, and not being seen as ugly or unhealthy, and being generally considered more attractive. Well, I'm sorry, big fellas. It is not the thin person to be privileged, because they are like nature meant our bodies to be. That is the most common type of person that there is, and thin person represent the ideal shape both for beauty and for health. There are places in which you can find clothing of your size, scooters to go around, and facilities that can accommodate an extra large person. But if your butt cannot fit in a normal seat of a bus or a plane, it is not the transportation company to discriminate you, because they cannot afford to have buses and planes built double the size of the actual ones, just because an obese person, which probably should not be like that, cannot fit. So it is basically you being out of shape, unhealthy, eating too much, and not exercising enough that causes your life to be miserable. It is also true that especially in USA, more than 2 out of 3 individuals are obese. But this is one of those cases in which the majority is not right and democracy is not applicable, because facts show clearly that the national expense delivered from health problems and the number of health problems are huge. So unless you have a medical condition that makes you fat, like thyroid problems or polycystic ovary syndrome, the only reason because you're fat is because you're eating too much. Not big bones and chemicals or bad genetics and shit like this. If you listen to obese people that are not fat because of medical condition, they never eat that much or drink, don't they? Truth is that maybe you have difficulties to diet, you're depressed, you have lost motivation, or maybe you have some hormonal problems too. But pushing your situation as something totally acceptable and deny the fact that you are the one stuffing your mouth with food is doing no good to you. And it's not doing any good as well for the others that may find motivation to improve their lives by adopting an healthier lifestyle. So the argument of oppression by society is non-consistent. Often habits that lead to obesity form during youth, because there is a great correlation between the disorder of a mother or father that are stuffing their children with every kind of food. In their mind, they are showing their love and care, or so they believe, because it's almost the only form of gratification and love they know. But doing so is condemning sons and daughters to perceive as normal to be like that, and develop and cement bad habits that are almost impossible to get rid of. So especially parents have the responsibility to stop raising obese children. It is you giving them food and certain habits. Remember it. And I mean, come on, you can see everywhere over the internet and TV that there are a lot of programs that aim to help people to get rid of their fat, and possibly of the core issue that made them fat in the first place. So you really have no excuse now, because you have all the tools you need to improve your situation. And talking about excuses, do you remember this picture? This fit and healthy mother of three was publicly shitstormed by angry obese women and social justice warriors about her "What's your excuse?" slogan. The slogan was perfect to demonstrate that it is not an excuse to become fat and blaming it on pregnancy. You know, these evil doctors that are telling you that are increasing your risk of severe disease knows that during pregnancy you are supposed to increase your ideal calorie intake by only 600 calories. And this only after the 6th month. So you don't need to gain weight besides the weight of the baby. But who cares, right? Because as any delusional person, they try to blame somebody else for their own responsibility. They blame this monstrous society for promoting the concept of being fat equals to be ugly and ill. But it is a natural response, since the biological standard of attraction is not toward fatness, but towards fitness. This is exactly what it is from the majority of people. If you are both a huge bodybuilder, for example, or a pathologically obese person, you experience difficulties in a world not made for very large individuals. But you have chosen to do actions that brought you to be the way you are. The difference is that bodybuilders wanted to be immensely muscular, and you never wanted to be fat. They too are seen by most people as ugly and strange, and experience the same problems regarding everyday life. But they want to be like that, because they like themselves to be like that and are actually healthy if their diet is correct. The thing is that nobody was pointing a gun to your head and forcing you to eat too much besides yourself. So don't try to create a safe zone for you, blaming your fatness on society and other people. The only acceptance you need is to accept that you have an issue that makes you like that, and asking for help in order to achieve a better life is nothing to be ashamed of, like many people can confirm. You also need the acceptance that even if it does not justify bullying, it is perfectly normal for somebody to feel you are unattractive by spontaneous response. And in the end, if you enjoy being obese, so be it. But please have the decency not to say that this is healthy and riskless. Nothing should stop you from having the better life possible. And now, really, there are absolutely not excuses to do it. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on every social media that is listed down below. And I'll see you soon again when it's time to be brutally honest.